All right, we could just start. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Evan DeLeo. I work at, sure enough, HubSpot. I had the pleasure of meeting up with Cortez, really just digitally, so it's not meeting up. But we got a chance to converse about 6 to 7 months ago, really just about this initiative that we have going on, HubSpot for Veterans, kind of a sub-segment of the organization, if you will. So for today, I was going to cover a bunch of different topics, mainly due to my ADD, but I wanted to start things off by really just congratulating everyone, who's put this thing together. Cortez, you've done a massively awesome job. I took a screenshot of a few social media influencer type dashboards and posted them here, and you could see that we are trending up. So, all right, so again, welcome. This is the presentation, Leading the Future, Innovation in the Information Age, which is a lot harder to say than it sounds that way too. But this morning, my goal is to provide you with a microcosm of the information age as a whole. Specifically, I'm going to dig into a couple of things. First, what it takes for you or your organization to be heard, especially going forward, what the unique benefits and challenges that the information age brings with it. Secondly, I'd like to present to you with a sort of guidebook that's transforming the way that influencers and influential people and companies really interact and communicate value to their professional relationships. And I can use HubSpot for Veterans as an example towards the end. So this will likely take 20, 30 minutes or so. I've left some time for Q&A towards the end, so just start marinating those or developing them as they come. But please, I treat this pretty informally, obviously. So if you want to shout something out, tell me I sound like a fool, ask a question. By all means, I am open to it, and I am not vicious. So, if that all sounds good, I'd like to start with a brief exercise. Thank you. I know, it's early. I know. Now, here's the thing. Raise your hand if you've used it while someone else is giving a speech. Yeah, that's cool. Seriously, though, don't feel guilty. It's not your job to fit to me or to us. It's our job to fit into how you consume content. And so, during this presentation, I'm actually competing with every single piece of content that's ever been written by anyone, anywhere ever. And to no one's great surprise, the competition is pretty staggering. We're bombarded with minute-by-minute updates, engagements, notifications, likes and reaches, whatever the hell else, and recommendations. But the information age as a whole, we're living in it. And the information at our disposal will have increased exponentially by the time that we've finished this presentation. Now, a very wise man right there saying it's not information overload, but filter failure. And it's been a primary driver of information overload, however, on multiple fronts. In quantity produced, ease of dissemination, and breadth of audience reached. So these factors have been further intensified by the rise of social media and the influencers therein. But not all scholars agree that sheer quantity of information is inherently to blame. Again, the filter failure using as an example. So it's important to establish this as a mindset whenever you're communicating to an audience. Whether you're an applicant for a school or a new position, whether you're an influencer, and whether you're an organization. Now, in the last few years, this same evolution in technology and information availability has transformed buying behavior and spread throughout the entire customer experience. So again, how people digest communication and what they expect from us, from you, has changed. So I like this animation, but it's also a very good backdrop for HubSpot, what we were founded on. In 2006, our two co-founders wrote a book appropriately titled Inbound. And really what Inbound was it was based upon the realization that people have become less and less tolerant of being interrupted by advertising over time. You've probably seen some of the technologies and even whole industries formed around this. Things like caller ID, pop-up blockers, DVRs, do not call lists. The list goes on. The tried and true tactics of old things like direct mail, cold calling simply aren't as effective anymore. And like Greg here, people have become really just more and more fed up with those tactics. Now technology has permanently shifted the power over to the buyer. So going back to Inbound, those are our two co-founders right there, Dharmesh and Brian Halligan. Really the idea, I mean, they like to make it seem like it just kind of materialized out of thin air. That being said, it was really based upon Dharmesh's blog. The blog still exists today on startups.com. And back in 2004, they were seeing that it was just getting a massive growth in traffic. Actual visitors just finding the site on their own through Google search or what have you. Now, their question was, how would this tiny blog with no budget generate more traffic than companies with massive spending? I mean, it was equivalent to the results that one would see from, again, like a six-figure advertising budget. I mean, it felt like a modern-day David and Goliath story, really. And in the end, they came to that realization that people just don't want to be interrupted by marketing people, salespeople, advertising. I mean, they want to be helped every stage of their research/buyer's journey. So, in so many words, Inbound came down to a simple concept or ethos. I mean, instead of, again, interrupting or pushing your content and what it is that you're trying to communicate onto people, why not sort of form your online presence to be seen as this font of education, knowledge, and helpfulness in the eyes of that target buyer or audience that you're trying to attract. And specifically, just due to the success of Dharmesh's blog and identifying what those factors were, I mean, it all came down to the creation of helpful, relevant content. In short, we differentiate ourselves by becoming that helpful authority for that ideal audience, very specific. And that's whether or not the audience is a recruiting board, a buyer performing research in advance of a purchase, or a corporate-level marketing team. All right, now we're going to the methodology stuff. So, have you ever seen something in, say, the window, or have you ever needed pest control badly? That's my own personal thing. Anyway, have you ever needed to purchase something immediately without doing much research? Yes. Obviously, we all have. That being said, it's not the most common or the most typical buying process. I mean, most of the time before becoming a customer, a person will actually go through first what we title the buyer's journey. And the journey is composed of a number of different stages, but at its highest level, it can best be categorized as an awareness stage, a consideration stage, and finally a decision stage. Now, we have an example right there for strep throat, but I mean, as in all the marketing disciplines, it's important to understand your audience, how they think, the answers they seek, and the path that they tend to take to find a solution. From that research and collecting data on all of this over time, I mean, we can begin to craft a documented strategy that really maps the content that we create to every single stage of that buyer's journey. Now, the Inbound methodology. The graphic has gone through multiple iterations, but really those 4 stages within the process remain the same. It's focused on attracting customers through relevant and helpful content, then adding value, again, at every stage of that buyer's journey. With Inbound, potential customers find you through channels like blogs, search engines, and social media. And unlike outbound marketing, Inbound does not need to fight for potential customers' attention. Rather, due to the relevancy, due to really as how specific you'd like to be here, creating content, if you will, designed to address their specific problems and needs, and at the right time in their journey, you attract qualified prospects, more qualified prospects than you would from just, say, outbound alone. Furthermore, you also build trust and credibility for your business. And the best part about this is that as you create content, it's really an appreciating asset. One of the ways I like to think about it is it's almost like the difference between renting and buying, say, paying for advertising or AdWords spend versus creating your own content. This is stuff that you own, stuff that you can repurpose, and stuff that really just broadens the entire scope of that thought leadership status. All right, and now we've got Jeff Bezos here. So, Ever wonder why Amazon has ads for other e-commerce sites on their product pages? They're not concerned about owning that specific transaction. Rather, their goal is to own the customer. I mean, that sounds pretty creepy, but Amazon made 3,400 every second of every day back in 2015. I'm not going to do the math, but it's a lot. All right. So, I mean, the key thing here is being a part of the information age. This is awesome. I mean, we really do live in one of the most exciting periods in history. We have so many different things at our fingertips in the form of information that it's easy, again, to have that filter failure and become overwhelmed. And so oftentimes, the way to add the most value isn't to just supply the information, but almost to curate it for that specific audience. All right, so disruptive innovation here. Disruption, it really describes a process whereby a similar company with fewer resources, in this case, say, Dharmesh and Brian's On Startups blog, is able to successfully challenge more established and, quite frankly, resource-rich businesses. As these incumbent businesses focus on improving their products and services, they usually only do so targeted towards their most valuable customers at the time and the most demanding. And they exceed the needs of some segments while completely ignoring others. Entrants, as in like the new companies entering that market, they really prove disruption begins by successfully targeting those overlooked fragments, the ones that are historically underserved, and by gaining a foothold and delivering more suitable functionality, frequently at a lower price. Incumbents chasing higher profitability in more demanding segments tend not to respond immediately. And that gives the entrants time to then move up market, time to deliver the performance that these mainstream customers may require, while preserving the advantages that drove their early success. So when mainstream customers start adopting the entrants' offerings and do so in volume, that's when disruption has occurred. And here are some examples. Sure enough, the death of the piano-based home entertainment system, for example, took decades. The birth and death of the piano key necktie, however, took substantially less so. Now, upheavals can happen in a matter of minutes in today's day and age. But as for the most exciting part here, we are still only at the beginning of the greatest global transformation towards almost a real-time evolution in business. So as of today, this stat actually blew my mind, but greater than 70% of the businesses on the Fortune 1000 list were all formed within the past decade. And if you want to look at it from a more pessimistic view, I mean, businesses are going extinct faster than ever. Now, mass extinction brings opportunity, of course, and evolution is not relegated to biology alone. It commands organizations, products, processes, and ways of thinking. No biology majors in the audience, I guess? Oh, okay. It's that and mitochondria, the power plants of the cell. That's what I learned. Okay. All right. So the real question here, I mean, why we're actually speaking today about this, I mean, can these principles apply beyond just organizations, beyond blogging or people interested in on startups? Can it apply to you? I mean, to your organization, beyond that, to your person, both from professional development standpoint as well as your own education and what you can bring to an organization, the people that you influence, and the world. I promised you there would be mind-blowing. Okay, thanks. All right, but going back for just a second here, back to making your voice heard in that crowded landscape, the inbound methodology can be a tool. It doesn't need to fight, again, for potential customers' attention, but by creating content designed to address the problems and needs of your ideal customers, you attract those qualified prospects and build trust and credibility. Now, in order to do this successfully, however, and it sounds pretty obvious, but we need to define really who it is that we're trying to attract, who it is that we're trying to speak to. The buyer persona. Actually, is anyone familiar with this already? Yeah? Have you found it effective?
I found it effective if you go through the whole target market selection and then
Yeah.
Instead of how a lot of people are putting it out, that you need to create the persona first and not understand your market that you already have.
Yeah, that's a good point because honestly, like it's not communicated, in my opinion, enough that it's an evolving process. It never ends, right?
A lot of people put it out there that you have to find your ideal client, but they don't tell you to look at the market and then find it through the market that you have.
Yeah, right on. Thank you. No, it's absolutely right. And I mean, this is one of those areas, and obviously there are others, but I mean, oftentimes you'll see almost this paralysis by indecision because you want it to be perfect, right? Before you start speaking to anyone, you don't want to sound like a horse's ass, so you want to actually have your information correct. And this, however, is just something that you almost have to jump into and it hone over a period of time. I mean, the thing is, there are currently 3.2 billion internet users, but only a select few will become customers of your business. And so how can you really align your entire company around attracting, converting, closing, and delighting that right group of people? These semi-fictional, generalized representations of your ideal customers. Now, beyond just utilizing these for your own targeting, buyer personas are actually incredibly helpful in terms of getting everyone in your organization internally on the same page. They help everyone in a business, I've found, whether you're in sales, marketing, customer support even, and especially if you're a new hire, trying to understand what it is that we do and who it is that we serve. It helps really just internalize that ideal customer and then relate to them, most importantly, as if they were actual humans. Now, because audiences can vary so widely based upon industry intent, persona research is of the utmost importance, and also data collection. I mean, the two go hand in hand with one another. Only by understanding their unique process for awareness and evaluation will you be able to create a truly effective strategy there, and really just pack it with custom content that best supports their journey, either towards making a purchase, joining a membership organization, or communicating your value to them. Yeah, and so as mentioned before, inbound hasn't really changed beyond these 4 general stages. The specifics have certainly evolved over time, but in the attract stage, obviously you attract more of the right customers with that relevant content at the right time. But you do so, again, like when I mentioned the right time, you do so in a way really that when they're actually looking for it. And so when we talk about, say, SEO, content marketing, I mean, it really stems from people first initiating that first step of research by searching for a term that your organization happens to rank for because you've been writing about it. Now, furthermore, your customers begin that process online, usually, so you need to make sure that you're showing up when and where they actually do search. There are obviously plenty of tools to do so, but that goes back to that entire data collection and acting upon that data collection that I had mentioned previously. Now, finally, it kind of gets a bad reputation, but social media, quite frankly, it's getting a much better reputation. I mean, this is a really great example. It allows you to share that valuable information, that content that you've created, but it allows you to just massively increase or amplify the reach of it. And furthermore, there are some buyer personas and audience segments that really just prefer social media. And to get even more granular here, certain platforms or channels of it, Twitter versus Facebook versus LinkedIn, all of them kind of have their own specific vibe. Tinder, MySpace, no, never mind. Once you've attracted website visitors, the next step is to convert those visitors into leads. And you can do this by opening up a conversation in whatever way works best for them. Once you're in touch, you answer questions and provide even more relevant content that is interesting and valuable to each one of your personas, and continue that conversation. Things like calls to action, landing pages, and forms, these are all valuable tools that over time will allow you to further optimize that entire future interaction timeline to just be more effective. Moving on to close. Now that we've attracted them, converted them into the right leads, now it's really time to transform those leads into customers or members of an organization. Primarily, we could do this through effective lead nurturing. Each lead you have, they should be nurtured according to their interests and what stage they're in. Website pages that they visited, certain behavioral and demographic items and activities, all of these indicate shifting interests. And good nurturing adapts your messaging in a way that's most relevant and stays relevant in order to win new business. For example, a series of emails focused on, let's say, going back to our strep throat example, a series of emails talking about, all right, is your family at risk for strep throat? Here are 10 items to look out for. And really just nurturing that type of content along that same path unless the buyer tells us otherwise. Now, this is the weirdest stage, and not just because of the name. So, I mean, really, it's all about providing a remarkable experience for customers, but you have the opportunity to actually transform these customers from just customers into evangelists of your business, really promoters and influencers. Plus, they have a much higher expectation of your business and how they're treated at this point, so it's even more important to engage with them. Again, like once they become a paying customer, because they're the ones that are going to be able to really just stay longer, refer their friends over to you, and be happy to tell the world that they met you in the first place. And this is more important than ever before, primarily because of what we've seen over the past couple of decades. All right. You could be disrupted by accident. And Kodak, I mean, does anyone remember? Well, I'm sure people remember the actual film stops. It's pretty amazing to me that this was actually a fairly recent phenomenon, that we would wait a full day, sometimes a full week, to pick up our pictures that we took. Companies are getting disrupted, and really, companies are getting disrupted that no one was actively targeting, even, as in competition, such as Kodak and traditional film's failure with the advent of mobile phones. You can be disrupted as collateral damage, really, even if someone wasn't actively targeting you. They were a great company, and their brand was an American icon, but their failure to adapt both to digital media over film and the inclusion of cameras and cell phones, of course, disrupted a core part of their brand with consumer camera sales. So how do we protect ourselves from something like this? We do so by having what's really just been coined as an extendable core, which is really just another way of saying secret sauce. And I've put in my two favorite secret sauces there. Inbound is a way to actually expand beyond your core, and it's because it's inherently customer-centric, creating a massive competitive advantage, That extendable core insulates you, really, from that type of disruption while enabling you to disrupt others. It's very, very difficult for someone to quickly replicate all of the content you've created, your authority, and most importantly, the trust that you've built with that audience that you've nurtured over time. All right, so that's the overview, quick and dirty, of inbound. And what I brought up here is really what I've been working on with all of the veteran partners that are in attendance. In fact, all of the veteran partners of HubSpot, if you would please stand up. Ed, Cortez, hey. Yeah, once again, thank you guys for being, such an integral part of this. Essentially, what we're trying to do here at HubSpot is cater to what I consider to be like a very underserved segment of the population, or multiple underserved segments. It really came about when, during my work on the partner team at HubSpot, one of my agency partners happened to be service-disabled veteran, asked if we had a veterans discount. And I said, no, but we probably should. So upon further examination, I found that during my research, a lot of people kind of had the same general story or general difficulty experiencing that transition from military to civilian life that I did. And quite frankly, it shouldn't take anyone years and years to get to a position of equal status or equal rank, if you will, or even equal authority and responsibility. Rather, what I worked with the veteran partners to conceive here was we want to form a program that really enables and empowers veterans and military spouses even to not only, say, do a transition successfully and more efficiently, but also provide them with the type of education that HubSpot already has online and available, but doing so in a way that's curated and formed to their specific journey. And speaking to that journey right here, I can't take credit for this, but it's a beautiful piece of design, actually commissioned by the VA. Now, I'll send out this information afterwards, but I mean, essentially, it's just highlighting every single one of those stops, one of those areas during the veteran's journey. And it really comes down to the fact that veterans and military spouses, they make fantastic entrepreneurs on paper. Oftentimes, we have difficulty, we have challenges, learning, well, I did at least, learning things like how to network. Should I exchange business cards? Just very, very simple things that in the civilian business culture, kind of comes with years of experience. This is my own attempt at an inbound funnel. It says probable because this is very much in beta mode, but what we want to do here is really cater to the largest segment of the population possible, both veterans, active duty military, people thinking about getting out, people out, really anyone, and providing them with free business education. Out of that, we're going to have dedicated mentoring sessions for those that say want to, those that have skin in the game and really just hit certain thresholds. But I've got some pseudo-okay landing pages up right now where you can learn more. I highly recommend, though, if you're more interested in this, come talk to me, talk to one of the veteran partners that just stood up a few minutes ago, and yeah, be a part of a program that is very much accepting any and all suggestions, recommendations, criticisms, and really just help define what this is. Thanks.
ConvertKit. I'm fine. I couldn't hear you with that. Okay. Who cannot hear me? I prefer to talk out of mic because my voice catches.
Yeah, and it's better for the mic and the camera.
All right.
Just do it first.
So listen, marketing software is incredibly expensive, okay? When I started the Military Influencer Conference, I needed tools in order for me to be able to grow this conference like it has. Would you believe it or not that every communication that you receive from me, for the most part, has been done through HubSpot? And ask me how much I pay per month. $20 a month. I'm going to drop the mic, and I'm going to tell you, if you are a veteran or you're in this conference, you need to have a serious conversation with Evan. That's the bottom line.
So, okay, I know a lot about CRM
Mm-hmm.
in my industry. I've tested a lot, worked in a lot.
I'll give you the mic back. You're the SME.
And then I know a little bit about HubSpot. I've never dug into it.
Yep.
So, from what I'm understanding is that HubSpot can be a complete solution. So, to give you an example, my particular website, I'm trying to use Optin, Monster, MailChimp, and a Radius CRM.
Yeah.
But that breaks it up. So, is HubSpot really complete? So, how? Tell me the technical.
Yeah. Definitely. So before I started working there, I worked for a video marketing agency, and we used Salesforce. I had a chance to use Salesforce, Pipedrive, a lot of other sort of disparate tools. This I brought up in the background while Cortez was introducing the concept. I feel like this is the best representation of what the true value proposition is of HubSpot. Mainly because we don't have any particular specific tool that's better than anything else out there. For instance, we don't have a great social media tool that blasts Hootsuite out of the water. Rather, it's the fact that everything was built from the ground up, fully integrated by the same people and speaking to one another at the same time, so that regardless of what, activity you're performing, what your role is in an organization, there's a place and a tool for you, while at the same time, all of the reporting functionality is fully integrated. So it's in this way that you're actually able to take something as specific as a social media message and tie it all the way down to revenue being generated for the organization. And I haven't really seen anything else, other than our direct competitors, that provides that same sort of functionality.
Okay. So, would you be able to replace using CoSchedule?
Yes. Yeah, it's really. Exactly. Hmm?
Can you do a dashboard that incorporates the client? I mean, obviously not necessarily going to do it at the level of, say, Google Analytics for a website, but can you?
Yes.
Can you incorporate the social media analytics into the same dashboard?
Yes.
Can you do those things in the same dashboard? That actually might be a pain point to make.
Okay. Let's see.
Killing me, right? You guys might need to change your whole page to do that.
Oh no, trust me, I agree with you completely. The best and worst thing about HubSpot is the fact that there's so much stuff. All right, I'm gonna do my thing here. You know what? I'll just pull it up. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna mirror my displays. Then I can actually get this going. Yeah, I mean, like I'd say that when it comes to like people considering a switch, I mean, there are a number of different reasons why, but usually the biggest win comes from really just the consolidation of all of those tools, both in the form of time saved, but also reporting. I mean, there's data loss, time loss, a lot of that going on at once. All right. I can't talk and mouse at the same time, apparently. All right, here's our fake company, Biglytics. All right. Okay. All right, I hit the dashboard. Yeah, so what you see right here is kind of that morning cup of coffee view. Oh, yeah. It's kind of that morning cup of coffee view. You know, you've got the overall health of the organization, marketing-wise, that is, visits, contacts, and customers. But this is where that sort of having everything under one roof comes into play. As in, top of the funnel, we're attracting people through content, amplifying it through social media, et cetera, and then following them and tracking them every step of the way. So it gets really big brothery and creepy, but as it turns out, people actually value this. I mean, when you're providing people with stuff that, you know, is actually helpful to them, people don't really mind giving you some information about themselves. Because, I mean, a lot of this information comes in the form of questions that actually make your marketing more relevant to them. So what I'm going to show over here, actually, is our sources report. Now, I love this one mainly because this one just shows kind of like how everything comes together into one place. So what you'll notice is these are all of the different channels or sources that people are coming from and finding us through. This first column, visits, not hyperlinked, any of these numbers. And that's because we don't know who they are. We just know by IP address, by domain, where they're coming from, and generally what organization they're a part of. But as soon as they actually provide us with an email address via either a pop-up form or otherwise, they become a contact auto-generated in the system. And all of these contacts are hyperlinked because there is an ever-living record of that person that backfills all of this data because we had dropped a cookie on them. And really, they stay in the system and remain there until manually deleted. And I will bring myself up just to show you right here. Not because you want to see me twice, but just to show you some sort of, yeah, see, cool guy at HubSpot. Yeah, that's nice, Evan. So this timeline on the right side here, this goes back all the way to 2014, before I even started working at HubSpot. And you can see we can combine not only marketing, but sales activities on there as well. Because the CRM and the marketing platform share the same contact record. Oh, yeah. Yeah, please. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, and I'm here all day. No, if anyone would like to meet up afterwards, oh yes, please. No, it's fine. Right. Totally. No. Yeah, so yeah, the question was related to, I believe, basically like what sort of choices you have in getting marketed to, right? The free tool, there's less customization, but it's still there. It's always there. We're very cognizant in terms of data privacy, but also things like canned spam laws, specifically Canadian and EU, which are more stringent than ours. But yes, every single one of our tools, to include the free ones, contains at least that option. No, you don't. Right, exactly. Yeah, even with the free tool, you can email directly from the CRM into a contact record. As you can see, like email up there. You can call from the CRM, which is real crazy. Yeah. Oh, as in like asking them about if they accept a cookie? I could also like show you in person. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.